Hi everyone. Today I want to play around with some CSS animations and I want to try and create a bouncing ball. So with that, we're not going to use any JavaScript at all. So I'm going to make this small. And I'm going to create a div with an ID of ball. And I believe that's all I'm going to need. Okay, so I'm going to use that ID. So I use a hash in my CSS. Let's see, and I'm going to make the ball 100 pixels wide, 100 pixels tall, and let's see, I'm going to have a background of blue so we can actually see it. And, oh, oops, okay. There we go. Thank you for the colors. Now we can see it. Okay, so right now it is a square. So to make it a circle, I believe I need a border radius. That might be too small. Let's see. Okay, so they gave us some rounded corners. Let's go right in the middle here. There we go. Now we have a circle. Okay, so the border radius can make a circle depending on the percentage you give it. And I want to move this to the center. Let's see if that does it. Position relative, no. Nope, I need a margin. Sorry, I am looking at my notes here. When something is not working, I look at my notes. Okay. So now we are centered. And I'm going to want the ball to bounce up and down. And to do that, you need keyframes. Okay, so we're going to give this keyframe a name. I'm going to call it bounce. That's what I want it to do. Okay, so then this 0% is where your ball or your object starts. Okay, so I want it to start at the top. And I have been warned to save, so I'm saving. Okay, so it's going to start at the top. And then 50%, midway, what do I want to happen? I'm going to put another top, but I'm going to have it 250 pixels away from the top. And then 100%, which is the end of my animation, I want it back at the top. So I'm going to do 0 pixels because that means it's back up here. Okay. So right now nothing is bouncing because I need to add that name up here. So we're going to go to animation. I think it's just animation, not animation name. Let's see. If I could type animation, and I believe we just put the name here, and our name is bounce. So let's see if that works. Not yet. So I need an okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to give it a duration and see if maybe that will make it bounce. 1 second. There we go. And we got a good bounce. I want it to keep bouncing, so I'm going to add an iteration count. Animation iteration count infinite. And that'll make it keep bouncing over and over. And there we go. So one thing I want to do with this ball, when it goes down, I want it to kind of look like it's hitting the bottom. So I'm going to change the width and the height. let's see, right now I think it's 100 and 100. So I want it to get a little bit squishier here. There it is. And I want the height to come down a little bit. Let's see. And there we go. So it looks like when our ball goes down, it gets a little bit squishy and then it gets normal as it goes back up. So that's how we were going to animate this ball using keyframes. Another thing I tried was a load screen. Okay, so I want to build off that last animation we did and create a little loading screen where the 3 dots go up and down kind of like a wave. Okay, so what we're going to do first is create a div, and we're going to call that class load for a loading screen. And within that div, we're going to put our 3 dots. And I will call that class dot. There are going to be 3 of those. So now we'll just copy and paste these down. 2 and 3, and then close that main div. Okay, so there we are. And for the CSS, I want the background to be a dark gray. And that's not as dark as I want, so I'm going to play around with this just a little bit. I'm on HTML color codes. Let's see if that gets a little bit darker. Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay, so, and also in this body, I'm going to do a display flex. I'm going to align everything to the center. Justify content center. So I want my 3 dots to be in the center directly. And I'm going to use a, I think it's called a view height or a viewpoint height. I believe that will change the dots depending on the size of your screen. And then a margin of 0. So that's our body. And then we're going to grab our dots, and it's a class. We're going to do dot dot. So first we're going to create the size we want. And these should create little squares for us, I believe. And I'm not seeing them, but I believe I need to make them white since I made everything a dark gray at first. Okay, so there they are, and they're going top to bottom. So let's keep playing around with this. First, I want to turn them into circles. Okay, so now we have our 3 circles. I believe I need to take that load class to also do a display flex to get them to go horizontally. There we go. Okay, so now they're horizontal. Okay, I'm going to do a position relative. And we're going to create our animation keyframe. And we can just call that whatever we want. So I'll just call it bounce since they will be bouncing. Okay, so we're going to once again do our top. So 0%. Okay, the top is just going to be 0 pixels. At 50%, our top's going to be 10 pixels. And at 100%, which is the end. Our top's going to once again be at 0 pixels. And then we're going to point to that animation bounce. Okay, let's get a duration time here of, let's try that one and see how that works. Okay, so we get 1, and then we need to make that continuing, so iteration count infinite. So it just keeps going. Oops. Let's try that again. I want it to keep bouncing up and down. Okay, so that looks good. But now you see that they're all bouncing at the same time. What I want it to do is have them bounce separate intervals so it looks like a little wave. So what I'm going to do is create a class for a separate class for my second dot, and I will just call it middle. So that's her middle dot. And I'm going to do one for the third also. Call it last. And what I'm going to do is change the duration. No, I'm not going to change the duration. I'm going to add a delay. Okay, so let's try that. Sorry, I had to peek at my notes real quick. Okay, so we're going to add an animation delay. Is that what I wanted? No, that's not what I wanted. 0.1 is what I thought I typed. And that should start the second one a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit off. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing for our last dot. Just change that to last. And I'm going to make that 0.2 seconds. And there we go. We have a little wave. So that's how you can use the animation to create a little loading screen. Thanks, guys, for learning with me, watching as I go, and I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to try. Bye!